What's up, everybody? Jay Nanda, San Antonio Metal Music Examiner, coming to you from Knotfest 2014 in San Bernardino, California. Cannot believe we're still here, representing from San Antonio. These guys you should recognize, and if you're watching this around the country, you better get to know them. Say hello to vocalist Jonny Hawkins, bass player Daniel Oliver, guitarist Mark Vollelunga, otherwise known as Nothing More. Gentlemen, it is outstanding to see you guys here. Welcome. How you doing?
Excellent, man. Thanks for having us.
It's crazy. I know, of course, you guys know I've covered several of your shows the last few years, everywhere from Sam's Burger Joint to Sunken Gardens. Mark and I have talked on several occasions before, but it's crazy to me that this is the first time we've actually had a chance to sit down representing the Alamo City, and it's here in California. But hey, you take what you can get, and they just got off an incredible tour over the weekend. Five Finger Death Punch, hell yeah, full beat. And those bands are here at Knotfest too, but then you turn right around 11:45 a.m. set time today. Humongous crowd out there on the second stage. They tore it up. Let me hear it in your words. How was it?
Well, it was much more than we expected. I think we didn't know if rock and roll could happen at that hour, but it did. Yeah. And like you said, there was a lot of people. We didn't expect that crowd, and the response was amazing. A lot of our shows, I'll say, who's seen us before? Right. You know, there's a trickle of a few people here or there, and then I say who has never seen us before. Everybody yelled, and I asked who's going to see us again, and it was overwhelming response. So
and you guys seem to show no ill effects from an early set time. Obviously, that's not something you're used to.
We hide it well, I guess.
I mean, the energy.
We're all just like,
you were bursting with the energy. I mean, Daniel, for you, how was it up there?
It was good. You know, this is the last show on. We've been on tour for 3 months straight now. Did a headlining run in the 5 Finger Death Punch full-beat tour, and I don't know. Every moment, it was just kind of. I was just kind of laughing. I was like, yeah, "This is awesome, and it's over too. It's beautiful. You know, didn't know what to expect. So cool, rocking out, having mountains in the background. You know, the sun's on you, but it's not 100 degrees. Southern California just blows me away every time.
And that's another thing. You guys are no stranger to festivals. I know you played at least one last month at Aftershock. Did you do it last year too?
Yeah.
In Sacramento?
Yeah, that was like a monumental show last year. Not this year, but last year was kind of a tipping point in our career as a band. You know, that was the time when we signed a label deal. Right after that, we got new management, we got a new agent, and it was a direct result of playing that show.
Right. Yeah. And of course, they're burning up the charts, but this is the time. Second album, self-titled, full-length album, and the music has just been tearing it up. How has the response, you know, not just at shows, but for you guys, even whether it's in San Antonio or other places, obviously you're popular in your hometown, but a lot of times just traveling on the road, have you been getting a lot of feedback from people being more familiar with your music?
Oh, it's been excellent. It's been very, very cool. Just going to places we've never been before on the headlining tour, which we did before Five Finger. You go to places like Denver, and we sold it out with 600 people, and that's crazy. Because we've always been a band to grow at grassroots, go again, and then there's like 100, 150 people. Right? So this radio has taken, you know, such a strong aspect to you know, the crowds that have been forming and going to these new cities we've never been to. And we're so thankful and grateful for it.
I remember Johnny asking you a couple years ago at one of the Sam shows, or you had actually told the crowd that it was very stressful doing that hometown show. And I know you've got like family obligations and tickets and that sort of thing that probably adds to it. But can you kind of explain for people out there that may not understand why it's stressful playing a semi-small club in front of your hometown as opposed to a Knotfest in front of thousands of people? I mean, do you have a preference one way or the other? Do you find it more nerve-wracking playing a hometown show as opposed to something like today?
Always. Yeah, and I mean, when you play your hometown or anywhere where there's people that have known you since you were in, you know, kindergarten or middle school or high school, it's just a totally different, I don't know, mindset when you go into it. When we play new markets, no one knows who you are in a lot of cases, at least at this phase. And so you can be whoever you want to be, which in a lot of ways, you know, when I grew up, I changed schools a few times. And each time, when I went to a new school, it's like it was like a reset button where nobody knew who I was. I didn't fall into any of their stereotypes that they built yet. And so you can be who you want to be, and there's kind of a freedom in that allows you to have fun. And no, don't get me wrong, San Antonio shows, they always end up great, and we have an amazing time. It's more like a party though than it is like a performance for, you know, this audience that doesn't know who you are and you have to change their mind. It's more like a celebration and a homecoming now. So it makes it a little nerve-wracking, you know.
Yeah, it is kind of strange. You know, when you go on stage, it's not like it's a complete alter ego from who you are day to day. You know, you're like get pumped up and are ready to go, and you come out breathing fire and kind of feeling, you know. And then I'm like, then my mom's on the front row dancing, and I'm like, oh yeah,
back to reality.
You know, and it's just kind of that thought in the back of your head, you know, and then, like your friends are there watching you, you know, jump around like a monkey, and they're like, hey, you slept on my couch last week, you know, or something like that. But that's kind of the difference, you know. They know all of you, not just you as a musician and artist, but as, you know.
Well, without giving too much away, if you've never seen Nothing More live before, I don't know if unconventional is the right word, but the things you guys do with your solos and the fact that, you know, Jonny is also a drummer, he's got a lot of drumming experience. They incorporate that into the live experience. Let me ask you about is it bassinator? Bassinator, of course. Whose idea was that? How did that come about? You know, because it's obviously something I talked about yesterday, obviously also with Attica 7, as far as the fact that it's difficult. So many bands out there these days competing for notoriety. It's hard to be original. These guys are very original in their songs and their live act, and that's a big part of it. Whose idea was it? How did it come about?
The bass solo itself, like what you see on stage is probably like the third generation of bass solos that we've done, you know. It started more, I used to wear it, like Mark would come up behind me and play the low notes. We kind of did like a funk solo, you know, multi-man, and then Jonny, you know, one day when we showed it to him at rehearsal, he was like, we need a climax, and he's like, hey, what would it sound like if I put sticks on it? You know, I'm like, hot damn, it works.
I felt left out, so I had to do something.
Yeah, and then from there it progressed to, you know, wanting to play it like a piano. I built a super crude, like, it was just this tripod thing, and then one day just randomly had the idea that it should spin in the air, and went and bought a $150 welder tool, and went at it, you know, kind of had the idea in my head, didn't know the A to B, but started plunking away, and that's kind of what you see. And, you know, I've had some help with it too, like a good friend of mine when I started was in between jobs, and he'd like come over and he learned with me, and he's been, you know, he's really gotten into it and helps with a lot of stuff. And, yeah, it's cool, like the community the band has, you know. I have another good friend that's a mechanical engineer, you know, that I actually live with. So like,
our landlord, actually.
Yeah, he's our landlord. Yeah, so like, we could always like go to him whether the band's broken down, or I'm like, hey man, what's the best way to make this? And he'd like show me. And so it's cool all the help we've had along the way.
Good deal.
So.
I also have a couple questions from a couple of my social media readers. First one is from Eric from the Nothing More fan page. Wanted me to ask you via Twitter, what is each of you guys' hobbies when you're away from music?
Honestly, just being a dad. Yeah. It's right now not home ever, so it's just doing anything with my son. He's like 21 months old right now, so it's such a great stage. He's really learning how to communicate. Also, congratulations, so good. Just trying to be the best father I can. Danny?
Mine, I'm a bit of an avid motorcyclist. I grew up racing motocross and things like that. When I get home, if the weather's good, you know, I just like to take the bike out. Of course, we've been touring so much, I don't even know if it runs anymore.
Have you even had a chance to catch the Metal Militia guys flipping around?
I saw a little bit of it. Actually, we were doing our meet and greet, and I was like just spaced out looking at them. It's like, oh, sorry, hey. Yeah, I was like, whoa. I'll definitely be heading over there after this.
Cool. Jonny?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is my other love. I wrestled in high school, so I have kind of a grappling background, so it was kind of the logical next step as I got out of high school to get really interested in Jiu-Jitsu, which was kind of the grandfather of what we know as MMA today, and UFC and everything. So I love doing that when I get a chance, and I actually was fortunate enough to have on this tour with 5 Finger Death Punch, Volbeat, Oh yeah, the Five Finger guys had a black belt on the road with them who was the head of their security, a guy named John, and I got to roll with him and Zoltan a few times, so it was pretty cool.
Very nice.
Yeah, we always had this dream of being in a band fight, you know, like at a bar, like fighting another band or fighting just like bar people. And we have Johnny in our back pockets, and we're just ready for that day.
Small but I'm
Johnny, help!
small but fierce.
Except we're a band of 5'8".
Yeah,
Every
we're
one of
small.
us,
We're
same
small
height,
band.
small guys.
We're gonna have to wield some weapons.
We got a lot of weapons.
We got to get really good.
Yeah.
Jennifer from San Antonio has been wanting to ask me to ask you, Johnny, for quite a while. Why do you always do this when you're singing?
Okay, so with any kind of singing, there's typically a vibrato aspect, which vibrato is just when you're holding a note and it's like, you know, kind of wiggles like that. This is what I guess you could call mechanical vibrato. I'm a drummer first and singer second, so the drumming nature in me kind of comes out in the sense that I want to manipulate like my voice with my hands, and so it started as a joke actually, I think, at rehearsal one time, and I was just doing like yodeling sounding things by hitting my voice like you know, kind of thing, and Mark was like, maybe you could do something with that, or the vague memory I have was a discussion like that, and I was like, nah, it's dumb or whatever. And we ended up going seeing this band Fair to Midland,
Right.
and they were a prime example of how you can actually manipulate your voice and your throat and create different tones by using your hands. And he did it very much like this. He was like wiggling his throat side to side, and it created this interesting tone that set them apart from other people. So it re-inspired, I think, what we were joking around about to actually be a legitimate thing. And so we got in the studio, I started doing it and like throwing these little like wobblies into the melodies, and it kind of gave this unique aspect to the melody. So really it's just a toolbox, you know, to all these different techniques and things that we do to create sounds.
And one thing I'm also doing is, of course, you know, for the interviews that I'm doing in the next few weeks, we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of Dimebag's passing, which is tremendously meaningful throughout metal, of course, but especially with a Texas band here in Texas. So did either of you ever get a chance to meet him? And whether you did or didn't, do you have a favorite story? Or just, especially Mark as a guitar, any influence that you can talk about, what he meant to you?
In the same way Eddie Van Halen manipulated the guitar, Dimebag did for metal, and it's inspired so many. Just his outside thinking is unbelievable, and it's a very sad thing. I wasn't an extreme Pantera fan, but he's one of those guys. You know, it's like he was carrying the torch, and it was very sad. You know, when we all found out the news. Especially that it happened on my birthday.
December 8th, wow.
Yeah.
You guys, any experiences or influences?
Which is John Lennon's birthday.
Yes,
too.
absolutely. Yes, can't forget that.
I mean, I'm with Mark. You know, like you said, he's definitely a super influential person musically, and that's an incredible thing in and of itself. But we've got an awesome chance to actually hang out with his brother, Vinny Paul, for the last 6 weeks, and just see how awesome Vinny was, and like how much he cared about music, and cared about his crew, and cared about us as a band on the road with him. Like, just speaks for the family in general. So I can only imagine how great of a man Dimebag was.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo what Dan said. It's kind of unfortunate, though, that we don't have Paul, our drummer, here, because he is a huge, you know, he grew up on Pantera, more so than the rest of us. And so he'd probably have a lot more to say than he was. But again, what Daniel said, I've gotten to talk with Vinny, and the one conversation that we've had where we really looked each other in the eye, you know, because there's so many times where we're just passing and saying, hey, what's up? I asked him, I said, hey, be real with me, be honest. Do you get tired of this? Is there anything that gets old? Do you feel jaded or anything? And he locked eyes with me, you know what I mean? And he was like, I fucking love this. It's like, if I didn't love this, I wouldn't be here right now. It's like, my crew is my family. I never really had, you know, that much of a family back home. and he was like getting kind of broken up just saying it, which was like making me feel. I felt it. Like you come across so many jaded individuals in this industry, but for someone who's gone through what he's gone through and who's still doing it, to say that with such realness and charisma was inspiring. I'll never forget that.
And that's great to hear too, because a lot of times you hear about, especially since, like I said, you just got done with your first major national tour, and you hear about sometimes the headliners don't pay attention to the opening acts. It seems like that was completely opposite with you guys. I'm assuming Five Finger and Volbeat as well.
Yeah, all of them had really complimentary things to say to us, which was really nice to them to even come down to our level and just check it out. Even like you said, we got even at the end of the tour, we gave some gifts to the headliner, the other bands, as a thank you for having us on the tour. But the whole time, they were inviting us into their green room to have drinks or hang out. Or Chris Cale from Five Finger Death Punch was giving us like whiskey and beer and different things as like gifts. And so it was just nothing but an amazing experience, and we're really, really grateful for all of it. They were great.
Well, it's great to have you guys here, Knotfest 2014. If you don't know about Nothing More, it's not too late to jump on and get familiar with their music. Go check out a live experience. Speaking of, tell the folks out there what you've got. You have family time coming up now that the tour's over.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? Are you taking a break for a while? What's going to happen in the next few months?
We're home for 2 weeks, and then we go 2 weeks in the UK with Pretty Reckless and Heaven's Basement. Then we come home and we'll do 2 weeks US stuff, various markets, kind of more middle, central US. And then January, we're super excited about going on tour with Periphery and Woven War, 7-week US tour. Then we'll go to Australia for Soundwave. Then we'll go back to Europe with Hailstorm for big old all of Europe tour. So, wow, can't wait.
Huge things lying ahead for Nothing More. Representing San Antonio and the Alamo City like crazy. And again, back to back today here at Knotfest, along with Upon a Burning Body. They totally, and you guys had the mosh pits going, and it was barely noon here. So it was just a crazy time. So guys, thank you so much for taking the time, Johnny.
Thank you.
Daniel, outstanding seeing you guys again. It's always a pleasure, Mark. It's always great talking to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Take care. Good luck lying ahead with all the things going on for Nothing More. We're going to check out the main stage right now. So for the guys at Nothing More, Jay Nanda, San Antonio Metal Music Examiner, reminding you, don't hang them out to dry. Hold them up high.